Hello, my name is Desiree Shaw. I'm a psychotherapist, I vlog and I podcast. I'm on a mission to make therapy accessible and change the world one thought at a time. I have been saying that for years. So, welcome to my podcast, The Shite People Do. I started this about a year ago and I've had a long pause because I had a deep dive into myself and a real recognition as to what was going on. So I've been practicing for years as a therapist. I work for large hospitals in the centre of London, in Harley Street. And one of the things I've come across with in my practice, when people come to me with problems, where they're anxious, they're depressed, they're feeling frustration, one of the very main causes for most of people's problems, if not all of them, is other people, the way other people affect us. So I created The Shite People Do as a way to understand human behavior, how you feel, how you show up for yourself, and how other people are, and to understand what's going on for you so you can configure the games that people play and place yourself in a position of strength. For one thing, what I mainly do is empower and support people to take control and take back. We live in a very fake world, and to be authentic is a very dangerous game sometimes, because being your true self means showing up for yourself and saying what is and what isn't and how you feel. And for the most part, most people lack responsibility. They don't take responsibility and accountability. And in a lot of cases, people gaslight each other because they don't want to face how they're feeling and what's really happening for them. Okay, so they'll put it back onto you. So this podcast series is called The Shite People Do, because sometimes you can go home and think, why did she do that? That's so rubbish. That's annoying. You get frustrated. So it's understanding that part. Okay. And this, I'm going to be doing a few episodes on the awkwardness of conflict, the difficulty of social interactions, and how we show up in situations with people and how it affects us, okay? And in particular, I'm going to be talking about the passive aggressions in social interactions, all right? And this episode, the subheading of this episode is called, If You Don't See Me, I Don't See You. And in Jamaica, there's a saying that goes nicely, eloquently put, you na see me, me na see you. My mum used to say that a lot. I never used to understand what she meant until I got older. And I understand. Now, growing up in a large family of 6, using my voice was very difficult. So I had a stutter for about 20 years of my life. I couldn't get my words out. It was really hard for me to use my voice. So me becoming a therapist and doing the job that I do was in line with my own personal development and my own experiences, and recognizing this, the common humanity in compassion-focused therapy is that you're not alone, right? There are many people going through exactly the same thing as you. All right. And it's really important to understand and talk about it. But for the most part, we don't do that. We often sit alone and get stuck in these emotions and these thoughts and these ideas about ourselves and what's going on. So when we are in a situation of conflict, awkwardness of conflict, where you are being snubbed, you're being ignored, there's passive aggression, and there's somebody that you know, that you have some kind of a relationship with, who plays that game that they haven't seen you. So you could walk into an area, place, or whatever, you see them, you're about to say hi, they walk right past you, or they look through you, or look past you. Normally they look past you, pretending that they haven't seen you. And you felt it and you don't know what it is. So for the most part, you become quite, you're confused. You go into the confusion. What happened? I don't know. And then the confusion is really, really confusing. Then you get stuck in the confusion. You get stuck in the loop. And then you go into the frustration because you are thinking, but we were just talking the other day. What happened? Why is this like this? Why is she ignoring me? Why is he doing that? I don't know. Why does this feel so tense and angry? What did I do? Then you start to doubt yourself, okay? You start to fear exclusion. You start to fear disapproval. And your anxiety just goes through the roof. That's what happens. Anxiety just goes through the roof. So This 10-minute, 15-minute, I'm going to keep it down to, podcast is the quick how-to. And then following that, there's a workshop which goes deeper into your behaviors, what's going on for you, using using modalities such as transactional analysis, REBT, and compassion-focused therapy to help you break down what's going on in your mind, order it, or reorganize, and then start to be your authentic self and take action that is better for you in the long term. So in the short term, right, for this part to recognize what happens in the awkwardness of conflict. It could be anything, right? You could be, I hear this a lot, people going through divorce and the changeover of friends and family, feeling ignored or snubbed, having to make a change in your life that somebody might not agree with, or it might be a bit out of the box. Just being yourself sometimes can just be enough for somebody for there to be a awkward conflict, a way of somebody with you and yourself treating you as if you don't exist for that moment. Because we look at that and we go, when we analyze and understand the effects of somebody ignoring us, it does make you feel quite alone. It's quite lonely. It's quite fearful. And particularly when that happens and you feel the initial rush of it, if you're in a social setting, other people would have noticed, but nobody wants to get involved. So everybody leaves you to handle this all on your own. So you are stuck in confusion and frustration and self-doubt all by yourself with no help. And everybody's ignoring the situation. So this is a quick how to deal with it. All right. So first of all, and I am going to be using anecdotes from my own experience. I'm going to be using things that I have gone through and how I have dealt with it using my therapeutic approach and a way to empower and support my authenticity, because it's not easy being authentic in this world today. So first of all, you got to understand the situation. Okay. You've got to recognize, this person just did this. They've just ignored me. It was very passive aggressive. It felt very cold and I'm very confused. So you start to be honest with yourself. That's step one. You are honest with yourself, because if you're not honest with yourself, what will happen is you're going to feel really uncomfortable and you're going to feel that you need some validation. And when you feel that you need validation, you're going to start asking people, you're going to get more anxious, and people don't want to get involved. They're going to say things like, oh, I didn't see anything. Oh, she was all right with me. That's really annoying, right? It's when somebody says, oh, but she was all right with me, which means I really don't care about what you're going through. It didn't look very nice. I want nothing to do with it. I want to be all right with her as well. So you start to feel this segregation and this separation, and you're like, oh my God, what's going on? Really uncomfortable. And this is the awkwardness of conflict. And this is why I've given it a main heading of awkwardness of conflict, and then a subheading of, if you don't see me, I don't see you, right? Can you see the link going on here? So you understand, you describe this, you recognize this, you order this in your mind, you recognize what's happened, right? That means you just take a beat, right? You just take a beat. And this is where you start to be mindful, right? Using compassion-focused therapy here. You be mindful of what's happening in your body and what's happening around you. You take a moment, and then you're self-kind. So any form of anxious, knee-jerk reaction is not self-kind. Okay. Anything pushed by anxiety is not self-kind. So you always take a beat, you always take a moment, and you recognize what's going on for yourself, right? You name that behavior. All right. And then you establish the psychological effect it's having on you. And you say, that was impactful. That was big. That was quite stressful. I'm really uncomfortable now. Okay. I am uncomfortable. You acknowledge your discomfort in order for you to accept it and be comfortable with it, because the situation is now being created. And in order for the situation to go in order with the person who is ordering and controlling, because it's controlling behavior, for them to control the situation, you have to go along with the game that they're playing. And when we look at transactional analysis, there's a triangle and you've got victim, perpetrator, and rescuer. You become the victim. However, the perpetrator and the rescuer is the same person. It's the person who snubbed you. So you need them to rescue you. You need them to save you, right? And this is when you start playing this triangulation, this weird game within yourself and them. And this is the game that's going on and it feels so stressful. So first rule is you don't play anybody's game. You recognize what's happening and you take a beat. Okay, I see what's happening here. And I am really uncomfortable. That's the most powerful thing you can do in that moment, right? Now, I'm going to share with you an experience that I had, which was very much like this. So there's a person in the gym I had a friendly relationship with, and I thought we were friends. They called me a friend, and I hung out with them sometimes. And then on occasion, which grew and grew and grew, they would pretend they couldn't see me. And I started to notice it. And I started to notice this real flutter inside me, this anxiety, where it was like, I need to say something. And I was like, Des, no, we don't play that game anymore. This is something you did 20, 30 years ago. We don't do that anymore, right? And I had to really face what was happening there to see the real situation. So I'll describe the situation that happened for me. I was in the gym, and at one point this person kept walking past me, and I thought, okay, I'm going to accept. So this is what you do, right? So after you've named what's happening, you recognize what's going on, you call it, you recognize what's going on for you. You then start to accept this discomfort and accept that this person is not seeing you right now for whatever reason, without meaning, without implication, without naming them or shaming them, doing anything. Actually recognizing they have not seen me because they've chosen not to. And I am going to honor that. Here's the saying, if you don't see me, I don't see you. You don't play a game. As opposed to, I'm going to pretend not to see you. You don't pretend. This is the next stage. You don't pretend not to see them. You recognize that you do see them and that they're not seeing you, and you become comfortable in the discomfort and you continue. So I accepted that and I continued in my workout, and I got to the stretching bit, and I got to the mirror, and I was on a mat, and there was another person next to me, and the mats are this close. They're like not even an inch, less than an inch apart. So this person and the mats are quite big. So I'm on my mat and I'm stretching and doing whatever. And as I'm doing my downward dog and I'm flowing in between movements, I stretch and I do what I'm doing. I look into the mirror because that's how my head naturally goes in that direction. And I see the person who has snubbed me about 6 times prior to getting there. And they're standing right behind me, looking down, holding their phone and watching me. And I thought, I'm not going mad. This was the validation I needed to recognize I was not going mad. This was happening, right? And the person next to me finished their stretches and left. And so this person went onto that mat right next to me. Remember, it's less than an inch apart. And they continued not to see me. And they stretched and they turned in the direction where I was and in the opposite direction. So I continued to honor that they could not see me, that they did not want to see me, and proceeded in. It was it started off uncomfortable until it got very comfortable. And I got used to this feeling of me stretching and them next to me and then pretending, ignoring the fact that we'd spent time together, we'd have good time together. I had no idea what it was, but I decided, and this is where you make a decision, not to go down the route of confusion, that I understood what the relationship was like prior, what the relationship has been like, and the parts of it that I enjoyed, and understood that right now what was happening has nothing to do with me. And that's the bit. When you own that it has nothing to do with you. So you become less awkward in this conflict. You understand a conflict has been presented to you and you don't pick it up, catch it and put it in your bag and harness it and nurture it as if it was something for you to do. No. You recognize what it is. So I continued to stretch. I continued to do all of these things and I continued to be with my space. So the coping strategy is acknowledging your feelings, right? And validating your emotions and recognizing what the other person is doing, recognizing their behavior and recognizing it as their expression of how they're feeling within themselves in this moment. And you are not there to support aid or configure or try to analyze what's happening for them. You're there to support and understand what's happening for you. And this is when you start to ground yourself. Now, in the workshop, I will be teaching you how to ground yourself in the heat of the moment of a difficult situation where you feel that conflict and that disturbance happening. Grounding techniques. And then you start to challenge your catastrophizing. You start to understand, what are you catastrophizing about? What is going on for you here? This will also be expressed and detailed in a very clear way in the workshop. For the moment, to handle those situations is to support you to know that you are not going mad. And it's to recognize that this is an awkward conflict. We often label people as toxic. We say all sorts of things to make ourselves feel better. But as opposed to looking at them as if they're bad people, it's to recognize where you are, so you can understand. And for the first thing you're going to learn is that there's going to be a level of trust that has just disappeared in the relationship that you had with this person. And there's a grieving process, right? There's a grieving process for the relationship, particularly when it happens for the first time. So the first, second, third time, you'll start to know, I fully see what's happening here, right? So you start to acknowledge and allow yourself in the grieving process, because the grief curve is not just about death. We grieve for many reasons in many situations. So this relationship now, you get to the shock stage and you have to really allow yourself to do that. And this will be in the workshop to understand, because this happens. I mean, I had a lot of passive aggressive people around me growing up, and exclusion and rejection was the weapon. Right? I'm going to weaponize the fact that I'm going to talk to you. I'm not going to talk to you. And I often felt picked up and put down, picked up and put down, picked down. And it was like a massive yo-yo. And nobody ever says, I acknowledge what I did. Now, going back to this gym incident, this person did that a lot. And then the day after, they would message me. And this is another game, right? They'd message me and say, oh, I haven't seen you for ages. And my old self would have played along for sheer fact of just being acknowledged and that everything is okay. And I need it to be okay. I need it to be okay. There would be a desperation. So I just want it to be okay. But it wasn't. Okay. It actually wasn't okay. And after I had done the deep dive and the expression of where I was, I then was able to say, you have seen me. I've seen you not see me. The person didn't know what to do with themselves. So I was being honest. As opposed to, why did you do that? I saw you do this and this was really upsetting. I said, you did see me because I saw you not see me. And I honored that you didn't see me 6, 7, 8, 10 times. And I accepted that. So this is where you start to be your authentic self and you state what is happening for you, as opposed to, how dare you pretend? Because when you do that, here comes the gaslighting. Either which way, the gaslighting happens, right? Because this person did go through a whole, and they do that thing. Oh, I know. It must have been someone else. No, it was you. Right? When you're faced with the gaslighting, you don't keep trying to light it. Like every time they light it and the gas goes up and down, it goes up and down, you just think, oh, this is a lot of energy that they're putting into this process that they have created. I'm going to acknowledge and observe their behavior and recognize it for exactly what it is. Now, they'll want to do one of two things. Either continue to ignore you because they're really embarrassed because they can't face the fact that you've been direct with them, or be overly nice and suddenly want to start going out with you again. And this is where you take a beat, right? You step back. So if they suddenly want to ignore you, again, now you know what to do and you know what's going on. There's no movement or no action for you to present with. So it's recognizing and honoring. So, okay, I understand what's happening here. Something's happening for you, but while it's happening for you, I'm going to deal with me. If they suddenly start wanting to go out and become best buddies and demonstrate, utmost closeness and how much they love you, you observe the body language again, you observe what's happening then, you observe what's going on for yourself, because you'll have more confusion, almost self-doubt, because they would have gaslight you. So that's how you deal with awkward conflict, right? In a bite-sized way to cope. And this may happen at work, it might happen in your next family gathering. You want to know more, and you want to learn more, and you want to dive deeper, you can go to my YouTube channel, Desiree Shaw, YouTube, and you can subscribe and hit the button to be a part of the Better Thinking space, where you will get detailed workshops and worksheets and a host of tools to support you managing in awkward situations, social situations. So the shite people do to understand it, but mostly the depth is to understand yourself and how you show up, and where your behaviors are conflicting also, because we also have these behaviors. Thank you so much for listening. And if you do subscribe, I look forward to seeing you in the deep dive. Bye for now.